Please, don't hurt me. I can't even stand. Those words stopped Evan Rourke dead in his tracks. He'd been heading back to his quarters after a 12-hour shift fixing cooling systems when he heard the commotion near the holding area. The corridors of Cawthall 7 mining station weren't known for their hospitality, but the fear in that voice cut through the usual noise like a knife. "Shut it, fatty," Guard Thompson sneered. "You should have thought about that before attacking our patrol." "I didn't attack anyone." The voice cracked with desperation. Evan rounded the corner and froze. 3 guards surrounded what they'd been calling a dangerous oversized creature all week. But the being cowering on the cold metal floor wasn't dangerous at all. She was a woman. A Mirellan woman, to be specific. Her purple skin gleamed with sweat under the harsh station lights, and her long black hair fell across her face as she tried to make herself smaller. Her body was soft and round, and she clutched her injured leg while tears streamed down her cheeks. Both her eyes were wide with terror. Both her hands trembled as she raised them defensively. I was gathering samples," she whispered. "I'm a botanist. I didn't know it was restricted territory." "Yeah, well, ignorance ain't an excuse," Guard Wilson said, nudging her shoulder with his boot. "Not hard, but disrespectfully. Get up." "I told you, my leg." "I said get up." "That's enough." Evan's voice cut through the space like steel. All 3 guards turned to look at him. Thompson smirked. "What's it to you, Rourke? She's not your problem. She's injured and unarmed." Evan walked forward until he stood between them and the alien woman. "Which makes this bullying, not security work." He could feel her behind him, hear her ragged breathing. Up close, he caught a faint scent like rain on flowers. "Move aside, engineer," Wilson warned. "This is official business." "Then do it officially. Get her medical attention. Document her statement properly. Or do you prefer terrorizing someone who can't even stand?" The guards exchanged glances. Thompson's jaw clenched. "You want to be responsible for an alien prisoner? She's not a prisoner until you charge her with something. And yeah, I'll take responsibility." Behind him, the woman made a small sound, surprise, maybe, or disbelief. "Fine." Thompson backed off with a disgusted wave. "She's your headache now. But when she causes trouble, it's on you." They left, their boots echoing down the corridor. Evan turned slowly and knelt down to her level. This close, he could see both her eyes were actually quite beautiful, golden with flecks of amber. Both her hands still shook. "Hi," he said softly.
"I'm Evan.
Let's get you somewhere safe, okay?" She stared at him like he'd just offered her the universe. You helped me," she whispered. "Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do." He offered his hand. "What's your name?" "Nerali." Her voice was musical, gentle.
My name is Nerali."
The medical bot had done what it could, but Nerali still winced with every movement. Evan's quarters weren't large, just a bedroom, a small kitchen, and a workspace, but they were private. Command had generously allowed him to keep Nerali there during her recovery, mostly because nobody else wanted the paperwork. "Here." Evan set a plate of food on the small table. "It's not fancy, but it's better than ration bars." Nerali sat on his bed, her injured leg elevated on pillows. She looked at the food, then at him, her golden eyes uncertain. "You don't have to do this." "Do what?" "Feed you. Pretty sure that's basic hospitality." He pulled up a chair. "Besides, you need to regain your strength." She picked at the food carefully, then took a bite. Her eyes widened. "This is good. Thanks. My mom's recipe. Well, station adapted anyway." He watched her eat, noting how she seemed to savor each bite. "So, xenobotany, huh? That's impressive." Her purple cheeks darkened. Was she blushing? "It's just plants. Most people think it's boring. Most people are idiots." Evan leaned forward. "I work with machines all day. They are predictable. but something that grows, changes, adapts. That's actually interesting. Nerali's lips curved into the first smile he'd seen from her. You really think so? I know so. He grinned. In fact, I could use your help. The station's greenhouse is a disaster. Nothing grows right in this low gravity. I could look at it, she said quickly, then her face fell. If I can walk again properly. You will. Evan's voice was firm. Give it time. Over the next few days, they fell into a rhythm. Evan would help her to the bathroom, steadying her with both his hands on her waist. Each time, he tried not to notice how soft she felt, how perfectly she fit against him. And each time, Nerali would blush deeper purple and thank him in that musical voice that made his heart race. One evening, as he helped her stand for exercises, she lost her balance. Evan caught her, and suddenly they were pressed close together. Both her eyes locked with his. Both her hands gripped his shoulders. Sorry, she breathed. I'm so clumsy. You're recovering. His voice came out rougher than intended. There's a difference. She didn't step back immediately. Neither did he. Evan. Her voice was barely a whisper. Why are humans so different from what we were told? What were you told? That you're cold, violent, dangerous. Her golden eyes searched his face. But you're warm. He swallowed hard. Maybe you just met the right human. She smiled then, genuinely smiled, and Evan felt something shift in his chest. That night, Nerali told him about her home planet. About the gardens that grew wild and free. About how Mirellans valued gentleness and knowledge over strength. About how she'd left to study alien plants because she wanted to understand the universe. My people would say I'm too curious for my own good, she admitted. I'd say you're brave, Evan replied. She looked at him for a long moment. No one's ever called me that before. Then no one's really seen you. The air between them felt charged with something unspoken. 2 weeks later, Nerali could walk with only a slight limp. The greenhouse had become their sanctuary. Among the struggling plants and hydroponic systems, they worked side by side. Evan fixed equipment while Nerali assessed soil compositions and light requirements. Hand me that wrench. Evan called from under a grow light fixture. Nerali passed it to him, her fingers brushing his. The casual touches had become more frequent, neither of them pulling away as quickly as they should. You know, she said, kneeling beside him, for an engineer, you're surprisingly gentle with living things. For a botanist, you're surprisingly good with machines. He glanced at her, grinning. It's almost like we make a good team. Almost. She raised an eyebrow, playful. Okay, definitely. He sat up, and suddenly their faces were inches apart. You've got dirt on your cheek. Where? She reached up with both hands. Here. He brushed his thumb across her purple skin, wiping away the smudge. His hand lingered. Nerali's breath caught. Evan. Yeah. His voice was low. Thank you. For everything. The moment stretched between them, heavy with possibility. Then Evan cleared his throat and stood, offering his hand to help her up. When she took it, she held on longer than necessary. Later that evening, as they prepared dinner together in his small kitchen, Nerali reached for a high shelf and wobbled. Evan moved behind her, steadying her with both hands on her hips. Careful, he murmured against her ear. She leaned back into him, just slightly. I'm always careful when you're around. Is that right? His thumbs traced small circles on her sides. And when I'm not around? Then I miss having someone catch me. She turned in his arms, facing him. Both her eyes were dark with something more than gratitude. You're very good at catching me, Evan. Well, you're worth catching, Nerali. The double meaning wasn't lost on either of them. They stood there, bodies close, the kitchen suddenly feeling much smaller. Evan's gaze dropped to her lips. Nerali's breathing quickened. We should. She started. Yeah, he agreed, but neither of them moved. Finally, reluctantly, they separated. But the tension followed them through dinner, through their evening routine, through the night. Evan lay awake on his makeshift bed on the floor, listening to Nerali's breathing from his actual bed. He'd insisted she take it, despite her protests. "Evan." Her voice came soft through the darkness. "Are you awake?" "Yeah. I'm glad I met you, even if the circumstances were terrible." "Me too," he admitted. "Get some sleep, Nerali." "Good night, Evan." But sleep didn't come easily for either of them. Not when every accidental touch felt intentional. Not when every shared glance lasted too long. Not when they both knew something was growing between them faster than any plant in their greenhouse. The accident happened on a Tuesday. Nerali was adjusting an overhead irrigation system when her footing slipped on the wet floor. She cried out, arms flailing as she fell backward from the step ladder. Evan moved on pure instinct. He dove forward, catching her against his chest. They tumbled together, Evan twisting to take the impact as they hit the ground. He landed hard on his back with Nerali on top of him, both her hands splayed across his chest, both her legs straddling his hips. For a moment, neither of them breathed. "Are you okay?" Evan's hands were on her waist, holding her steady. Nerali's face was inches from his, her long black hair creating a curtain around them. Yes. You." "Fine." But his heart was pounding so hard she must have felt it. "You're getting better at falling. And you're getting better at catching." Her voice was breathless. "Though I think you need to work on your landing. I'll add it to my training regimen." His thumbs moved in unconscious circles on her sides. "Right after how to not think about your beautiful roommate constantly." The words hung between them. Nerali's eyes widened. "Beautiful." Evan's face heated. Yeah. You are. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty terrible at hiding." She kissed him. It was soft, tentative, like she was testing whether this was allowed. But when Evan's hands tightened on her waist and he kissed her back, tentative became passionate. Her fingers tangled in his hair. His hands explored the curve of her back. Both of them poured weeks of tension and longing into that kiss. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nerali's face was deep purple with blush. "I've wanted to do that for so long," she confessed. "Not as long as I have." Evan cupped her face with both hands. "Nerali, I don't know how to do this. You're supposed to be under my supervision. This could cause problems." "I know." She rested her forehead against his. "But I can't pretend anymore. When you touch me, when you look at me, I feel things I've never felt before." "Yeah." He smiled. "Like what?" "Like I'm not too much." Her voice cracked. "My whole life, people told me I was too heavy, too soft, too gentle for a universe this harsh. But you look at me like I'm just right." "You are just right." Evan sat up, keeping her in his lap. "You're brilliant, kind, beautiful. And yeah, you're soft. So what? The universe needs more softness, not less." She kissed him again, deeper this time. When they finally pulled apart, Evan noticed tears on her cheeks. "What's wrong?" "I'm afraid," she whispered. "What happens when my recovery is over? When command decides I have to leave?" Evan's jaw tightened. "Then we figure it out. Together. Promise. Promise." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the tip of her nose. "I'm not letting you go, Nerali. Not without a fight." They stayed on the greenhouse floor for a long time, holding each other, stealing kisses, whispering confessions. When they finally returned to his quarters, Nerali didn't sleep in the bed alone. They lay together, fully clothed but tangled in each other's arms, neither willing to let go. "Evan," she murmured against his chest. When I stand on my own again, I'm still going to need you to catch me sometimes." He smiled into her hair. "Always." But even as they drifted to sleep, both of them knew their time was running out. Command wouldn't let this arrangement last forever. And when they came for Neroli, everything would change. The message came 3 weeks later. Processing assignment for Mirellan's subject Neroli. Transfer to Station Delta 9 for formal documentation and work placement. Evan stared at the screen, his blood running cold. Delta 9 was a mining station known for harsh conditions and harsher management. They'd work her to exhaustion without caring about her skills or safety. No. He deleted the message. Absolutely not. But deletion didn't stop the guards who showed up 2 days later. Thompson and Wilson stood at Evan's door with 2 others. Time's up, Rourke. The alien comes with us. Inside, Neroli heard them. Evan felt her freeze behind him, felt her hands grip his arm. She'd been watering plants from their greenhouse, bringing life into his quarters. Now that life was about to be ripped away. She has a name, Evan said coldly. And she's not going anywhere. That's not your call. Thompson moved forward. Step aside. No. Neroli's breathing quickened behind him. Her hands trembled on his arm. Evan, don't. They'll hurt you. Let them try. He didn't move from the doorway. She's committed no crime. She's been working, contributing. There's no legal basis for this transfer. We don't need legal basis. We need compliance. Wilson cracked his knuckles. Now move, or we move you. That's when Neroli did something that shocked everyone. She stepped in front of Evan. Both her legs were steady, no limp, no weakness. Both her hands were clenched at her sides. Both her eyes blazed with determination. The woman who couldn't stand 3 months ago now stood like a wall between Evan and the guards. No, she said, voice clear and strong. You will not hurt him. You will not take me from him. And you will not treat either of us like we don't matter. Thompson laughed. What are you gonna do, fatty? Bore us with plant facts. I'm going to file a formal complaint with the Galactic Workers' Union. Her voice didn't waver. For harassment, unlawful detention, and attempted forced relocation. I know my rights. And I know every regulation you've violated. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. Neroli continued, I also have documented evidence of my contributions to this station. The greenhouse now produces 3 times its previous yield. I've identified solutions to contamination issues. I've earned my place here. She's right, Evan added, wrapping his arm around her waist. And there's one more thing you should know. Neroli isn't just my responsibility anymore. She's my partner. In every sense of the word. Neroli looked up at him, eyes wide. He looked back, putting everything he felt into that gaze. I love her, he said simply. And I'm claiming relationship rights under station policy. Which means any transfer requires both our consents. Which you don't have. Thompson's face reddened. You can't be serious. Dead serious. Evan pulled Neroli closer. So unless you want to explain to Command why you're violating multiple station policies and galactic labor laws, I suggest you leave. Now. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Wilson muttered, this is above our pay grade, and turned to leave. Thompson glared but followed. This isn't over, Rourke. Yeah, it is, Evan called after them. When the door closed, Neroli's knees buckled. Evan caught her, always caught her, and they sank to the floor together, holding each other tight. Did you mean it? She whispered. About loving me. Every word. He tilted her face up with both hands. I love you, Neroli. Your gentleness, your brilliance, your strength. All of you. Tears streamed down her purple cheeks. I love you too. So much it scares me. Don't be scared. He kissed her softly. We'll face whatever comes together. Together, she agreed. Later that evening, they stood in their greenhouse, truly theirs now, surrounded by thriving plants. Neroli stood on her own, fully healed, but her hand remained locked in Evan's. You know, she said, leaning against him, when I fell that day, I thought my life was over. And now? She smiled up at him, golden eyes bright. Now I think it's just beginning. Evan kissed her under the grow lights, surrounded by the life they'd nurtured together. Outside, the harsh mining station continued its work. But here, in this small oasis, two beings from different worlds had found something rare and precious. They'd found each other, and neither of them was ever letting go.